buy meat that's labelled halal, can you be reassured that the animal has been killed in the Islamic way? Well, that's what we used to think. However, investigations that followed the horse meat scandal revealed that Muslim prisoners in the UK have been served food they thought was halal, but it actually contained pork. This brings a whole new meaning to the joke, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse." I'm sure you'd agree.
What do Lidl, Tesco and AZAD all have in common? Well, quite a lot actually, but up until 2 weeks ago, they all shared one rather unexpected feature. They all sold horse meat. Yes, this country and much of Europe has been gripped by a contamination scandal that has rocked the food industry. As well as in supermarkets, horse DNA has even been found in school dinners. In some parts of Europe, such as in France and Spain, horse is a regular part of the diet. But here in the UK, there is certainly a rich horse racing tradition, but there are mixed opinions about whether horses should be eaten.
I would like to know that I've eaten horse meat on my dinner plate.
Well, I personally love horse meat, and I think it's a delicious meat.
But the merits of horse eating aside, this scandal is really about the public being told one thing and then being sold another, as the UK Environment Minister clearly pointed out.
The events we have seen unfold over the past few days in the UK and Europe are completely unacceptable. Consumers need to be confident that food is what it says on the label.
So then, has this crisis hit halal food? Well, tests on halal meat served in prisons has found not horse, but traces of pork DNA.
It's completely unacceptable that people from certain faiths have unknowingly eaten food containing ingredients that are prohibited by their religious beliefs. And it's absolutely the responsibility of the food industry to make sure the food they sell is what's on the label, which is why one of the things we've done is to call an urgent meeting with suppliers and with major retailers on Monday.
It remains unclear how traces of pork DNA found their way into these products, but the Halal Food Authority, which accredited the supplier, has now struck it off and stated that it will be carrying out sporadic testing on products to lessen the chances of this happening again. Amanda Thomas Johnson, Islam Channel.
So, should we trust food that's labelled halal? I want to hear your views. Maybe you've had a bad experience that you want to share, or maybe you think that this is an isolated case and that we're getting worked up over nothing. Call us with your views. You can also tweet us using the hashtag YourViewsIC, that's IC for Islam Channel. Well, with me to take your calls, I'd like to welcome Masood Khawaja from the Halal Food Authority. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair for joining me this evening. Now, if we just take the incident about the prison, is it an isolated case, or is there something systematically wrong in the way these foods are processed and labelled?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. What I would like to start with is that in the introduction you said, and it was said as well, that it was horse meat which might be coming into the halal trade. Horse meat has not been traced in the halal trade.
No, it's pork that has, yeah.
As far as the pork is concerned, people are taking the wrong notion that it is the pork meat. It is the pork DNA which was found, and the exact situation of that is this, that it is not known yet, simply because it was found in a place which was a distribution place. It was not found in the place where the processing was done. Until this day, until this evening, Halal Food Authority, whose name has been actually publicized that way, does not have that report that how it did happen. And even if it had happened, and it was there and found to be positive in the distribution place, then they should have checked back again at the processing place.
Sure.
Because what we found in that, according to our Halal Food Authority contract, which is internationally recognized as the standard in operation, that ingredients were right, beef was right, the processing was right. Now, how is it that the checks were made, and when we spoke on a radio phone in, the prison Muslim chief advisor said that your standards are the same as our standard. So that is nice to know that our standards are
That may be the case.
But at the same time, what I'm saying is this, after that incident, there is no report at all. We are as baffled as anything, and I know one thing I like to say, we in Halal Food Authority are more distressed than anything else because the very fact is this: 6-7 years ago,
Okay.
when the chicken was laced with DNA of pork and beef, I had coined a phrase: for Muslim, pork is like nut allergy. Simply because it's forbidden to us.
Absolutely.
So that no
Okay,
Muslim would eat pork, and no Muslim would make other Muslim eat pork at all.
Absolutely. Well, let's take some calls and see what our callers have to say. I believe Omar from Nigeria is on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Omar. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Omar? Hello, Omar? Okay, I don't think Omar's there. Okay, okay, assalamu alaikum. I think we have Mohameed Saleem, who's also calling from Birmingham at the moment, actually, from Association of Non-Stun Abattoirs. Hello, assalamu alaikum, Mohamed.
Wa alaikum salam, Asad Bhai. Thank you for having me on.
Jazakallah khair for joining us. Now, we're discussing this issue about labeling, food labeling, and how, some traces, DNA traces of pork managed to get into a prison which had certified halal meat. What are your views on this whole issue?
My views on this are, I'm really astonished sitting here and listening to what our dear friend Khwaja Masood from HFA is saying, traces of pork DNA. Regardless of whether it's a trace or whether it's been touched or it's been handled by somebody who's handling pork, for a Muslim, it's unconditionally prohibited handling, touching or coming near pork. Now, with regards to this particular product that came into the industry, it was made halal because it had halal certification on it. Now, for us, it's a growing concern. And we should not be in a position to justify ourselves that it's only a trace, it doesn't really matter, we're making a mountain out of a molehill.
Okay.
What I really wanted to touch on is not to criticize anybody, because that's the least or the last thing that we want to do. We have a serious issue on our hands. A, where we have strict guidelines put out by the Food Standards Agency, which governs halal. And secondly, we have strict guidelines embedded into the statutory law, which defines what is a religious method of slaughter. Now, bearing in mind that the statutory law is above Parliament, above any certification agency, so therefore our attention should be focused on the government, whose legal responsibility and an obligation for them to make sure that the communities living here in the UK, regardless of whether they're Muslims, Jews or Christians, have unadulterated food. They actually get what it says on the label.
Yeah.
Now, we're often thrown into a battle to fight amongst ourselves as Muslim community, to point a finger at HFA or to point a finger at HMC or point a finger at whoever the certification body is. We need to stand back from this and give throw the ball back into the court of the local authorities.
Yeah.
They are the regulators. HFA is not a regulator, I'm very sorry to say. HFA is like any other certification body, private, limited body that's there for monetary gain.
So what you're saying, Muhammad, sorry to interrupt you, Muhammad. So what you're saying is the Food Standard Agency is capable of regulating religiously slaughtered animals? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, work according to the letter of the law. We are governed by the Food Standard Agency. We have a number of inspectors in our abattoirs to state the fact that the animals that were slaughtered are actually fit for human consumption because they have a stamp on there.
Yeah, sure. Mohammed, if you just hold in, I'm going to allow Masood to come in here.
Here is still what we are talking about, is pork meat. I just mentioned either it's pork meat or pork DNA. For Muslims, both are haram to alaykum maitata, it says in Quran. Right? What we got to understand here is this, as I made the statement just now, not long question like the questioner just put. Where is that report of that DNA? Why the DNA was checked at the distribution plant, not at the processing plant? And that is much more important.
No. The point Muhammad is making, regardless of that point, is about the role of the Food Standard Agency.
But let me finish to what I said.
Yeah.
See, long before Halal Food Authority name came up, and you can go to Sky Television and hear what I said at the time, the responsibility of the status of halal lies with the endorser according to the contract. And the health and contamination issue and the safety of food lies with the processor, right? Because under the European law, that's how it is done. Now, people are confusing the whole issue, and as I said to you, I'm as saddened as anybody else not to find where the report is.
Okay.
I mean,
well,
nobody has said that. I've asked the Food Standard Agency.
Whether the report's there or not, it makes no difference. The fact is...
It does make the difference,
well,
simply
it
because
doesn't,
we
because,
wish to know.
Because
we wish to know.
So the reason it doesn't, Masood, is because everyone knows in that prison that food was contaminated.
But someone said
now,
that they had not reached the prisons yet.
Well,
Those
no, that's not
because that's what it was, that it was checked as 3663 and they started
you
check
saw
for
the prison
meat.
you saw the prison food well, actually the Food Standard Agency in the report, he apologized to Muslim prisoners who had to eat that food that is illegal in their religion. He apologized for it. Why would he make an apology if that wasn't a fact? So that's not really the issue. The issue...
there are two statements going around.
The issue that Muhammad raised is about, okay, you're regulating what's halal and what's not.
Alhamdulillah.
What he's saying is that's the Food Standard Agency should be doing that. What do you say to that?
Well, Food Standard Agency, I mean, I've been working committee member, the Muslim committee member since 1997. I mean, little does this gentleman know the question that I was part of that membership, which actually brought in the slaughtering rule, which is called Welfare of Animal Slaughtering and Killing Rule 99-400. Here, that is not in play, as a matter of fact. What is in play is this, that we have to see that the processing plant is still not aware that they had the contamination there, because the contamination was actually checked there. That doesn't belittle the issue of the pork. Yes, Muslims should not be getting the pork.
I know, but Masood, you've just gone back again.
But I have
the point
to go
about
back again.
No, you don't have to, because we don't really want to go down that route. The question here is, do you feel that HFA or HMC, independent private bodies, are capable of regulating halal, or should it be to a statutory body which has powers to regulate? Which one do you think works better?
For the last 19 years, Halal Food Authority has been regulating meat, food and foodstuffs. Not only nationally here, internationally. This is something has happened, which is a very regrettable thing for Muslims. But if we give anything else from our side to Islamic, this is why we said all the time in that committee meetings with the Food Standard Agency as well, that we will tell you what the Islamic viewpoint is, what the Islamic axiom is, what the Islamic standard is, and you can formulate the regulation accordingly. Because if we give to the central place, like EU and because the Food Standard Agency is enforcing agency, is not lawmaking place, it's the enforcement agency. They can find, and they were the one who actually found in 2007 DNA of the beef and pork in the chicken, and we were part of that. Halal Food Authority of publicizing to people.
What you're saying is FSA would not have the legal power to. It's an enforcement agency, but it is not an agency that actually makes the law. But the law does exist. Currently, the religious religious slaughter is in law. It's legislated.
It is.
So. It's fine if the FSA then make sure that it happens. It's fine. Why do we need HMC and HFA?
We do need HMC and HFA and if there are other organizations, simply because the very fact is this, that the Food Standard Agency would not have, I mean, like 160 Muslim slaughtermen as we have licensed so far. They would not be having audit and inspection in there. They would not be checking the food by the technologists as we have in Halal Food Authority.
So there is actually a lot of background work that you're doing. Okay, Masood, just hold on there. I think Mohammed is probably not on the phone anymore. We've probably lost Mohammed. Are you there, Mohammed?
I'm still here.
Oh, that's good.
There's a number of points I'd like to touch on.
Briefly, because we've got Mohammed other callers, but do make your points, yes.
I'll make my point. Two things. That it's wrong for anybody to state that they've actually licensed religious slaughtermen. That again is a responsibility, and only food standard agencies can issue those licenses. No certification body is in a position, or as from my knowledge or the knowledge of my communication with DEFRA and FSA to state, is in a position to issue slaughtermen's licenses. Where we are, and I'm quite clear about
He's wrong?
now, we're quite clear about
sorry, Mohammed, just 1 second. Masood's saying that you're wrong there.
No, if I'm wrong, we can always call back onto the FSA, who will actually endorse that they are the only regulatory body who are in a position to issue slaughtermen's licenses in the UK. Now, if it's issued slaughterman licenses outside of the UK, I'm not aware of that, and I do apologize. Coming back to this, we need to, the worst HFA can do is pull away the certification from a company. Okay? What the regulators can do, and this is within their power, FSA can take people to court and penalize, fine, and take them to task, whereas no certification body has that power. We are again getting dragged into an argument between my mom is better than your mom, this certification is better than that certification. We need to focus our energies and to get these people penalized. Did HFA actually visit the site that was actually certified halal? The answer to that would be no, because our friend Khwaja Masoodi is not prepared to answer that one. Can we move away from this and focus on the real issue in hand? If you've been following the media recently, if you take Birmingham for now, Birmingham head teacher apologized, and I take my hat off to his honesty, for feeding Muslims a non-halal product. Now that's due to because it may have had a certification from somebody there. Now the issue here is that we want the government, the local authorities to issue to adapt their own guidelines, which they issued. First of all, in 2003, Khwaja Masood may have been involved in actually putting those together. That says quite clearly what the halal is, what the method of slaughter is, and what the FSA inspectors should be looking for when they do inspections for halal on halal premises. We are again moving away from the issue. This responsibility belongs to the FSA, and it is for them to do
Mohammed,
the job.
Jazakallah khair, Mohammed. Because we started late, and unfortunately we are running out of time. Jazakallah khair, and I'm really sorry I couldn't give you more time. And I will give Masood an opportunity to respond to some of the points that you have made. I've made a note of them. But let me take a few more callers. Omar from London is online. Assalamu alaikum, Omar. Omar?
Yes, brother.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. Your views?
My view is, brother, there's a couple of issues. The Food Standard Agency, they're not well doing their job. And the people who actually, the business people who is buying the product for the Food Standard Agency, they're not really doing it as a halal way, because they're not really learning the kitab al-ba', you know. And also the main issue is that I think is what they call a kebab, because they mix in so many things on there. They mix it with horse meat or either cow meat, and they mix it goat meat all together. And this issue actually occurs into the mainly France, and now also in Holland, which is I was there about a couple of years ago, and there's so many people who's complaining about. And I went to the kebab shop and I actually ate the food. The food is tasted really like something you can smell it. Even the taste is different. So the brother who's there now, Masood, it doesn't mean that you're all qualified, but are you doing your job really? Actually, the job you qualify, are you doing it, or are you following it? Are you actually aware everything what happens every corner and everywhere? The brands, they should focus the business people who's actually making the business, and people who's actually we being chose as a food agency, they have to do their job.
Okay, thank you, Omar. Jazakallah khair for your points. Let's take another caller. I believe Ruxana from an organisation called BeHalal.org. Interesting name. Assalamu alaikum, Ruxana.
We're a non-profit consumer organisation called beathalal.org.
Okay.
We have volunteers to encourage others to get on board and help, and also try and put a stop to the problems within the halal industry.
Okay.
And the question I'd like to pose to Brother Masood Khwaja is, will HFA, and including other certifiers, but because we've got Brother Masood there, to ask him, after the problem with the pork pie problem that was identified and implicated with HFA, will he or his organisation continue to certify halal products where pork is produced on the same site? Because this has proven that cross-contamination leads to this problem. And question number 2, that one is, will you continue certifying halal meat products where pork is handled on site and where haram is handled on site, on the same line? And question number 2 is, when you certify halal chicken that's coming off lines and you don't have any monitors that go there, how do you ensure that those requirements and your standards for halal are actually being met? Who's actually checking those? Because you don't offer any monitors as part of your certification process. So where does that leave the consumer?
Okay. Well, Jazakallah khair for your questions. And I'll come back to you, but I'll take another caller. I'm making notes, so you've got a lot of things to respond to.
You do say that time is very short.
Okay, let's see who's on next. Hello. Maulana Yunus, I think, from HMC. MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair for joining us this evening, Maulana Yusuf. Okay, can I first get your views actually on this whole issue about cross-contamination, finding pig meat, horse meat, all different kinds of meat, halal food?
We've been, as HMC, we've been highlighting this for the last 10 years. The Panorama program in 2003 highlighted this 10 years ago, that pork DNA is being injected into pigs.
That's right.
It's not. I think that this is why we need a system I mentioned, where doctors and inspectors on site. And I think some of the questions which Brother Masood needs to answer to the Muslim community are, as Sister Rukhsana said, do you certify plants where there is pork being handled? And from what I understand, McColgan's Quality Foods Limited, who are making the pies, also do pork pies at the same plant. Number one. Number two, who is there to check from the Halal Food Authority? From what I understand, for 14 months, that plant was certified by the Halal Food Authority. And correct me if I'm wrong, Masood, because you're there, this is why I'm putting this to you. 14 months that plant was certified by the Halal Food Authority, and only once they visited.
Okay, can I, because we are coming up to a break, Maulana, so can I ask you a quick question? Earlier, Mohameed Saleem from AZAD made the point that organisations like yourselves, HMC, Brother Masood's HFA, you can't really do the job as well as FSA could, for example. That FSA is an enforcer. You can't really do. What can you do? All you can do is take your certificate away from an organisation, but you can't really hold them to account.
We do need legislation that helps.
The legislation is there. What Saleem's point is.
In terms of implementing the legislation, who's going to check whether a shop or a butcher or a processing plant or a slaughterhouse is complying with the legislation?
Well, FSA.
FSA. They have the manpower. Trust me. 40% less checks are being done than 10 years ago, according to the FSA.
Right.
In the health environment by the local authorities, number one. Number two, they do not understand halal like the Muslim community understands halal. This is why the Halal Monitoring Committee puts inspectors in the slaughtering house, in the slaughterhouses, in the processing
okay, Maulana Yusuf,
to watch every single product.
Jazakallah khair. We've literally got 10 seconds left. Apologies for cutting it short like that, but if you do want to, you can call in after the break, inshallah, and we can take this on. And Brother Masood, there are a lot of questions that have come in. Inshallah, after the break, I will give you an opportunity to respond to some of those. We'll see you after the break, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Your Views on the News with me, AZAD Ali. Now, today we're discussing halal food and the controversy about finding pork traces or pork DNAs or different things in our food. And really, the question we're asking is, do we have the right kind of regulation in place to ensure that what we're eating is halal? And in the studio with me is Masood Khawaja from Halal Food Authority. And before the break, I took a number of calls, but I think both Ruxana and Maulana Yunus, their questions were similar. And if I can ask those questions to you, and the first one is about this, giving certificate to a plant or an abattoir that has that processes on the same kind of conveyor belt, if you like, different types of meats, so pork and other things.
Sure. Ruxana, who is also a environmental health officer, and she used to be a co-member of Halal Food Authority, meaning with me she used to sit on that Muslim working group in Food Standard Agency. She knows very well Halal Food Authority standards, Halal Food Authority criteria, Halal Food Authority how we.
But that's okay. But the question is this question.
I'm coming back to that. If you go to our website, on the form it says on there that either the new ones or the existing one. If you have pork on site, we do not want to do any work with you. For that matter, when we had
you don't give certificate to anyone who processes.
We do not even want to go down there. But there is a law as well that if someone can do contamination cleaning on there, is not in the same premises. Because you see, majority of the food at the moment, 80 to 90%, is not procured by Muslims. It's procured by non-Muslims for Muslim. Either it is meat, poultry, or anything. And when it happens, I mean, largest chicken supplier for Sendai, they said we want to do this and that together, and we said halal and non-halal cannot be together. So we said goodbye to them, simply because this is the standard.
So the answer to the question is no, you don't give a certificate.
No.
Okay. No, that's fine. And we just need to be clear. We don't need to go into a long discussion on it. The second question, which was both Ruxana and Maulana Yunus asked, is about monitors. Now, how do you ensure that the people that you have given certificate to are maintaining the standards?
Right. As I mentioned earlier in the talk here, that we start with a contract. And the contract has 22 different clauses in it. And the last but one clause is about fissure in the system. This is the fissure in the system which has happened here. It was not the fissure in the system for the contents.
But the question they're asking is, do you have monitors to go on and monitor?
I'm trying to come to that. And to ensure that that is being done, we have food technologists, we have the auditors, we have the trained auditors, we have the trained food technologists. We might not have in the number like the other organization, because we have enough to say that we physically, economically we can maintain, and we can also pay the taxes of ours, right? And we can maintain that properly. Because the very fact is this, to have that environment at this time and to keep on saying...
But can you say it confidently? Brother Masud.
Alhamdulillah.
Can you say confidently that you have enough monitors to monitor the people that you're giving?
And this is why I'm saying that, and I'll say that again. I mean, no one might think I'm going back. If Halal Food Authority is being proven guilty of putting the DNA there, where is the report?
No. Astaghfirullah. Nobody is saying that. So please,
they are saying it.
No. Nobody is saying that.
This is a reason.
Sorry, Brother Masood. Let me just clarify one thing.
I have got emails to say.
Forget about
Halal Food Authority.
Let's forget about what emotional people.
Why should we forget?
No. We need because nobody in their right mind will believe Halal Food Authority put pork into a chicken. Nobody in the. That's not the question. And the question isn't really about.
Actually, two of your callers are part of that.
No. They're not saying you put it there. No one is saying that. The question really here is, do you have monitors in place? Do you have enough personnel in place? Do you have enough resources in place
We had the
to
monitors,
check, to ensure
we have the
that
monitors,
these things don't happen?
We have the monitors if the processing plant is checked for it. And the other question was that what are we going to do in future?
Okay, let's leave it there. I'm going to bring a few more callers in because we have lost a lot of time already. Saleem from Scotland. Assalamu alaikum, Saleem.
Hello, assalamu
Alaikum salam. Can hear you. Your views, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. We can hear you.
Yes, I have observed in macro category in the halal section a certificate saying HSA certified. And when I look closely at the bottom line, the HSA certification is out of date. So my question is, why is this not monitored? And that means to me that no checks are happening after the certificate is issued. So complacency can happen. Can this be rectified?
Okay, Jazakallah khair for your question there. Let's go to Abdullah from London. Assalamu alaikum, Abdullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
You're on air, your views, please.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I believe that whatever food or product be advertising on Islam channel.
Sorry, what I can't hear your question.
Yes, brother. I believe that whatever food or product being advertising on Islam channel should be clear halal certified. Because not every store or shop sells halal products. Example, same fried chicken.
Hello? Okay.
They are belong to the kuffar, but they are saying this is a halal. But how we can trust this is a halal?
Okay, all right. How do we know it's halal? Thank you, Abdullah. Let's go to Ahmed from London. Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed. Birmingham, even. Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed. Ahmed.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Sorry, you're from Birmingham, not London.
It's okay, yeah, that's no problem. I just want a quick thing to say, and also, first and foremost, the brother was on the television last night, and he said there's 11,000 restaurants up and down the country, and they sell alcohol. They advertise it as alcohol. It's their choice if they want to drink it or not to drink it. The thing that this brother is dealing is in halal. And when we advertise halal, it's the most abused word in the land. This brother knows it, and so does a lot of people. If you can arrange it, I will come to London, and I will sit with this gentleman, and I will prove to him that the way they do what they do, and they say stunning is fair and good, I will get the companies that will make these machines to say that when they stun things, they're dead.
Okay.
So the argument is dead and buried. So if you can arrange it for next week, I will come down to London.
Well, maybe not next week, Ahmed, but it's a very interesting proposition that you have made, and inshallah, we will.
Next week or the week after, or I'll be available anytime you want. So I will sit with the gentleman. I would
definitely we will look into it. Jazakallah khair. I'm sorry I have to cut you there because I've literally got a minute and I need to give an opportunity to my guests to just what on the final point about some certificates they have dates on it, and if they're out of date, people are still using those certificates. How do you ensure that doesn't happen?
Our certificate, our license, does have yearly date on it. Expires on, say, 21st of February. If still somebody is using it, it means we have not renewed it, we have not audited it, we have not authorized.
So it means it's invalid.
So it's invalid.
Right.
So I think most of the time what
this is important. Is this clearly on your website? Do you say that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because the very fact is this. You see, the thing is, Halal Food Authority is the first one to have started the contract, had started to check, make check of ingredient by the food technologists, were the first one to say that we have to do the audits and things like that, were the first one to say internationally being recognized.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Masood. I'm sorry I couldn't give you more time, and apologies to my viewers. I couldn't. Inshallah, I think we did start late. We had a few technical problems, but I think this is such an important matter that we will have to come back to it again. And we want to have this discussion in a constructive way. I think we're not pointing fingers, and we don't want to be pointing fingers. We want to find a way that's going to help the Muslim communities in the UK at least to be reassured and feel at ease with the food that they're eating. I hope today we've started the discussion. Inshallah, apologies again for being late. I shall see you next week. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.